Hello everyone, can everyone stand up and spread out just a bit? We're going to do a little bit of a stretching exercise to wake you all up. Yeah! Okay, so you all need to have at least an arm's length of space away. So if you all need to move forward, backwards, up to you all. So we're going to stand shoulder widths apart. We're going to pull our hands out. We're going to lean to the right. And then we're going to lean to the left. And then we're going to go over to the right. Stretch out that left side. Very nice. And then what you're going to do, you're going to spin towards your left, spin down, and then swing over to your right. Stretch out that back. You're going to swing back, forward, and then you're going to go, yes, I'm going to go left, nope, I'm going to go right, nope, I'm going to go left, right, and then stretch out your right side. Very good. Then you're going to swing back to your right, forward, out, like so.
Okay.
Then you're going to swing back. You're going to go hands up, and then hands down. Touch your palms to the floor. Stretch out those hamstrings.
No, wait, I'm sorry.
You're going to stretch up. You're going to stretch down.
Guys, this is good to do in addition to our secret 10. No.
Okay, you all take a seat.
Yeah.
Just need to stretch, to be honest. Alright, welcome. My name is Fam, or just Boo, if you like to pronounce my name in an English way. I am a teacher at Woodbridge Senior High School, and I am here to talk to you all about teen screen addiction in the classroom in learning. Okay, so before we talk about what causes teen addiction, or like what I've seen teen screen addiction affect my classroom, we have to talk about kind of the rise in technology in education, right? So, before talking about screens and everything like that, we need to talk about why you all can access screens in the first place, right? Over the years, technology has become an integral part of education. You all now get free student laptops or free student iPads, right? And then you also have access to emerging technologies in classrooms, like coding softwares, coding IDEs, even AI sometimes, right? Especially in the college space, you all also have all of that resources that your colleges provide, like Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Photoshop, all of that stuff to allow you all to be creative or anything like so. Technology has also changed the way that we teach as teachers, right? We not only are trying to teach you all how to do correct grammatical errors or how to solve an algebraic expressions. Hopefully your teachers are implementing some sort of lesson about tech literacy or some sort of technology literacy, right? We want to first off prepare you all for tech-related jobs, but also teach you all how to use technology or emerging technology in a responsible way. And of course, technology has expanded access to different types of education. Now you don't have to listen to guided notes or have to come to class to learn the material. You have Khan Academy, you have YouTube videos, you have even online courses, or even inspirational or educational podcasts. That being said, with all of that, we've seen a rise of teen screen addiction. Teenagers spend an average of 7 hours and 22 minutes per day on screens outside of schoolwork. So with schoolwork, that averages up to around 12 hours on your screen, right? So you all are not using your screens for education. Most of it is for play, right? The main causes of excessive screen time is going to be your social media addiction, your technology addiction, so general technology addiction, needing to have that stimulus of looking at that screen, as well as lack of real-world hobbies and socialization. We've seen in teenagers that you all are lacking that real-world hobbies like playing sports, going outside, and socializing in a real-world setting, opting to socialize online through social media. We also see negative effects of screen addiction to be mental health decline, neglecting academic pursuits, as well as a gateway to substance abuse. So, just to talk a little bit more about the negative effects of screen and teen addiction, we have mental health decline. I am not an expert in that. You will see, or you'll get a more in-depth explanation from Sungang and as well as Vien. But we see that a smartphone or a rise in smartphone use is correlated with a rise of anxiety, depression, as well as loneliness in young people. We also see that excessive screen time leads to shortened attention spans, lower test scores, and reduced classroom engagement. They say now that the human attention span, at least in adolescence, is less than a goldfish. A goldfish has an attention span of 8 seconds. So we see in most adolescents now that your attention span is less than 8 seconds. The last thing that is kind of concerning about excessive screen time and screen addiction is that it leads to substance abuse, or a gateway to substance abuse. Right? An addiction to screens can often lead teens to other addictive behaviors like smoking or drinking. So, I am a math teacher. I also do teach data science. So let's look at some graphs. Here we have hours of screen time versus percentage diagnosed with anxiety and depression. As we see on the x-axis, we have screen time increasing, as well as on the y-axis is percent of people being diagnosed with these anxieties or depression. You see here there is a positive correlation with having 7+ hours of screen time. You see that there's an 18% of adolescents being diagnosed with anxiety, as well as roughly a 13% of adolescents being diagnosed with depression, right? There's a positive correlation with the amount of screen time or excessive screen time that they report. Here is the percent of treatment for mental health, right? So now we're not talking about who is being diagnosed with anxiety or depression. We're seeing who is actually getting treated for it, right? Either needing treatment for anxiety or depression, or even needing medication for anxiety or depression. So you see that there is also a positive correlation with that as well. Academic effects in graphs. Here is the percentage of people who start something but does not finish it, or do not finish it, right? So here we're seeing adolescents, as their screen time increases, we also see that the things that they start but not finish also increase, right? Whether or not that is starting homework but not finishing homework, whether that is starting something that's fun, like a puzzle or a game. We see that no matter what, the more screen time that you all have, the less you all will finish something to its entirety. And then this one is the one that hurts me the most emotionally, is the percent of not curious about learning. We see that an increase in screen time directly affects how many people, or the adolescent's ability or the adolescent's willingness to learn new things, to seek out new learning opportunities, to actually be engaged in class, to find something new to learn, to take something away from a learning opportunity. We're seeing that you all, or not you all, but the adolescents entirely is not as curious to learn as before. So, what are my perspectives, right? Because got most of that graph off of research and stuff like that, but here are my opinions on what I see in the classroom. As a teacher, I see that students are less confident in their answers. You do not need your computer to check your math questions every single time I ask you a question. You should know what 2 plus 2 is. You should know what 2 times 2 is. You should know what the square root of 9 is. You should know all of that off the top of your head. And you do know all of that. You don't need something to affirm that, right? With the ability to have your screen at all times, I see that you all are looking for the answers online instead of trusting your gut and scared to make that mistake. Remember that learning is the best when you make a mistake, when you get a question wrong and learn from it. The second thing is that I see students struggle with mental math. My mental math is atrocious, but your mental math is worse than mine. And my mental math is worse than your parents, right? It's just a trickle down in that sense. You should be able to subtract 3-digit numbers from two-digit numbers from 3-digit numbers, right? Now, most of you all are academic scholars. You all are have like the 1% of your class, whatever, right? But I teach in Woodbridge, okay? So I teach kind of in that lower level class, and I'm seeing that a lot of students nowadays are struggling with even subtracting 2-digit from 2-digit or 2-digit from 1-digit. Students are having a hard time paying attention for a long period of time. It comes back to that attention span thing, right? In my classroom, or I work on a block schedule, that means I have my kids for 90 minutes every other day. I can't teach my kids for 90 minutes straight, right? If I could teach my kids 90 minutes straight, my Algebra 1 kids would have learned calculus by now, right? But because the time is so long, our attention spans cannot perceive, or their attention spans cannot retain the information. That's why I usually, and hopefully your teachers also give you a break, maybe halfway through your period, to let that, I like to say, let that material marinate in your head and let it really sink in, that you process through it. And then the last thing I see is that students are constantly dependent on having a stimulus. Now that stimulus usually comes from a screen, either your laptop or through your phone, but if people are not having that, it is either like fidgeting with their fingers, or fidgeting with a piece of paper, or even playing with a fidget toy entirely, right? We're seeing that students are constantly depending on some sort of stimulus to get them through something that's like a learning environment. So, tips to combat screen addiction as a teacher, or from a teacher. The first thing, and a lot of this has been reiterated by Lem Vien already, but the first thing is going to be schedule time for yourself without technology. Go out, play sports, go hang out with friends, right? Go for a walk. I go for a run every single day, right? I run 6 days a week, and the only thing that I bring with me is my watch to calculate the distance that I have to run. You do not need to listen to music every single time or every single minute of your life. Having that Spotify rap be like 100,000 minutes, that's not really a flex, all right? I was at my high school graduation a couple days ago, and I still saw kids wearing AirPods at their high school graduation, right? It looks bad. It's not a fashion statement, it just looks bad, all right? But in all seriousness, you don't need to listen to music. You don't need that stimulus all the time, all right? Go out, play sports, enjoy nature, go do something with your friends without using a screen. Schedule screen time limits on apps you spend too much time on, right? Whether or not that is social media, whether or not that is a game. Schedule time for yourself, or schedule a limit for that, so that you kind of bank that minute or use it in a more responsible way. Set up a sleep routine for both your phone and for your life. Sleep is the most important thing in your life at this age. And do not go to sleep at 3 in the morning just because you want to play one more league game, or just because you want to scroll through one more TikTok, all right? Sleep allows you all to recover, it gives your body that time to recover, as well as it allows your brain to actually process all the information that you've done that day. It goes from short-term memory to long-term memory, right? For all my bio majors there, you should know that already, right? So sleep is the most important thing in your life. And of course, taking scheduled breaks from your screens before bed will help you with that sleep, right? Scientific studies show that the blue light from a screen actually causes your neurons to say that you need to stay more awake. Spending an hour to 30 minutes before your sleep time away from your screen will allow your brain to shut down naturally and allow you to sleep better in the long term. Reading is a good way to do so. Alright, that's my presentation.
Okay, so next, we're having Ms. Miller's presentation.
Sorry. Can I have a question regarding
Yeah.
one of the graphs? Okay, I'm sorry. There was a graph that shows the correlation between anxiety, depression, and screen addiction.
Mm-hmm.
My question was, do we know whether anxiety and depression causes screen addiction, or because someone has screen addiction that causes their anxiety and depression, which one comes first?
So, from my perspective, and you'll actually hear more about this in Veng's presentation, is that I'm pretty sure that teen screen addiction may... Now, if you look at the graph itself, there is actually, it is a U, it's a parabola, right? So you see that even with no screen addiction, there is still a high case of people who have anxiety and depression, or is diagnosed with anxiety and depression, right? But you also see that once you hit less than 1, there's also people who have a very low percentages, or there's a very low percentage of people who actually get diagnosed with that. That being said, I personally think it is screen addiction causes anxiety and depression because of the contents that the students are absorbing because of their screen addiction, right? Again, Veng will talk about that a lot more in her presentation, but that is indeed a very good question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
So does that mean that there are more depression and anxiety now than before we had computers? And
I would say I don't have, that wasn't in the study that I read, but I think you can make that general assumption, yes, but also take it with a grain of salt in your own research. Yes.
For a lot of the graphs you showed, it starts decreasing and there's a U shape at 1 in the 2 hour mark, so there's a bump in between. Is there a reason why specifically 1 and 2 hours has the lowest amount of depression and other bad stuff?
Well, it might be because of the way that they're regulating it, or the way that because remember that we're not talking about, those are the people who are getting diagnosed, right? So we're seeing that there is a less diagnoses of students who have 1 or 2 hours of screen time than students who have 7 hours of screen time. Does that make sense? Right? So like when we have these students all have anxiety and depression, but we're saying that, well, this student has anxiety and depression but only has 1 or 2, and we have a lower count of those numbers who have 1 or 2 than we have for 7 hours. Make sense? Okay. Any other questions?